The Film Lounge showcases the diverse work of Iowa filmmakers. On this episode, you'll find a one-shot story of a little girl lost, a visit with a sculptor of iron, an experiment in casual observation, a filmmaker's exploration of a bizarre moment, a shout-out for a new web series, a story of a champion cornhusker, a glimpse of the refugee crisis, and an old myth in a new light. Join us now in the Film Lounge.
Funding for the Film Lounge has been provided by Produce Iowa, State Office of Media Production, building a statewide network of support for the film community in Iowa. More information on how you can connect is available at produceiowa.com. And the Iowa Arts Council, empowering Iowa to build and sustain culturally vibrant communities by cultivating creativity, learning, and participation in the arts. Learn more at iowaculture.gov.
With the Lost and Found, I worked with Cameron Downing, a really skilled camera guy and a producer and director. Lost and Found was created for a specific contest that was over in Europe, and Cameron approached me and said, hey, let's do this together, and it was specifically made as a one-shot thing. That was the contest, was to do a one-shot story that way, and so I got to work writing the concept, and I wanted to come up with something that would touch people and something that would be, interesting to watch and maybe some kind of twist going on at the end. And we shot that in a parking lot, which was also the concept. The one shot had to be something small that we could film locally easily. So we did that, and then we submitted into this contest, and we took third place in an international contest, and that was really impressive for us. And it was like, wow, this is really working well.
I told you if we didn't use the kite so near the trees, we wouldn't have that kind of a problem. Now the next time you don't listen to me. Amanda? Amanda? Amanda, what? Amanda? Amanda! Hey, excuse me. Hey, have you seen a little girl around this side, a little blonde girl? Amanda! Get back here! Hey, excuse me, sir. Excuse me, have you seen this little girl? Little blonde girl about this high? Sorry. Okay. All right, thanks a lot. Okay. Amanda? Hey, excuse me, have you guys seen this little girl here? Come on, I'm just looking for my daughter. Help.
I think a takeaway in terms of watching a documentary film is to be able to experience a world that you just don't have access to. You know, I'm making films that are primarily between 7 and 15 minutes long, and my recent pieces have focused on single characters, so I want to tell their story and represent what they're doing, whether it's someone who's an iron caster, or someone who's a cheese maker, or someone who's a cyclist, and help people kind of understand what goes into their crafts, and also think about ways in which the audience could identify with those people. And it's difficult sometimes because you want to ethically represent those people, no doubt about it, but you also want to bring a story that's gonna be captivating, that's gonna hit people both in their heart and their soul, and impact them in some way.
Iron is, if you think of it on a cosmic level and a human level, iron is the core of the earth. Iron is, you know, what this is at the core of what we are standing on. It's what made this place. It's in a lot of our world and everything we do. You know, we cook with iron, you know, and it's in our blood. It's a major source of who we are and what we do in our DNA. And it's like, I don't know, it's kind of cool to think of, you know, that it's that important to our life and where we are. I had a sensibility with 3D that not a lot of people did because of my background growing up on the farm. I already knew how to use all the tools. I knew how to build things. Conceptually, I knew how things should go together and aesthetically how they should look. So those kind of things came in handy, and I just naturally did it. And it just felt natural and easy in that. So that's when my professors were like, you know, you're a good photographer, but you could be a great sculptor. And that's where I kind of found my core group of people that I clicked more with. Hardworking, just really tough people that had the same ideas I did, and so that was kind of my new home. My mom was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease, and it was the right time for me to move back home. All the work I was doing was building my house and working for these other companies, you know, honing my skills. And but when I moved back to the farm, one of my goals was like, I'm gonna be back here, I can make art. I can start making art again finally, after being away for so long. That's the second year that we had down on the farm. My mom passed away 5 days before the pour. Everybody was calling up, you know, they'd heard about it right away, because within my iron circle, we're such a close-knit family. I found a family in art that just really is incredible. I mean, they have the same kind of work ethic, the same kind of ideas that I have about what I'm doing. And they're very giving. They're not like, a lot of the other art forms end up being very like, this is my idea, I don't want anybody else to know about it, because, you know, somebody might take it and make their own thing out of it. The iron community is just like, if somebody figured something out, they tell everybody about it, because they want it to help perpetuate the knowledge and to help everybody else get to that level faster. And maybe we can take the art world, you know, the iron art world to another level. The more that we do this, the more that we, you know, show each other our own techniques. If you hold on to this knowledge and you go to it with your grave, you're not helping out the rest of the world. You need to keep passing this on. Iron just has this thing with it that is, I think just because you're basically casting iron the same way they've done it for a couple thousand years, and it feels, when you're doing it, very primal and very, very raw. And that work ethic that has just always been a part of me, and then in part of my work too, is just like getting in there and, you know, and I don't, you know, getting dirty is nothing, you know, that just shows you did something. You kind of almost got like a a bee's nest kind of like thing where everybody, you got all these little workers that are breaking iron, and then you got these other workers that are putting together other things, breaking up the fuel source, and you got other workers that are making food for the whole crew, which that's a big part of it too, because you got to keep everybody fed to keep working in that. And so you got all these little different groups that are all doing their own little things, and then a group putting the furnace together and making sure everything's ready for that. And it's all these different groups that are working together for a common good, which is the end all is the night where we actually cast iron and melt the metal. You got a specific crew that's on the furnace, keeping the furnace happy, and then you got crew that's around that is carrying the pots of metal and pouring the metal out. So you have all these different little groups that are all symbiotic, working together for a common good. You think of iron as such a hard, durable substance, and here we are turning it into looking like water. I mean, that's an incredible thing. I mean, when this furnace gets going, it's definitely, it's an entity that's in there, like cooking, and and I'm just trying to like be a part of that furnace when it's doing that, and understand it and be in a way that isn't harmful to it, and that allows it to do what it wants to do, which is just make metal. I mean, once it gets going, all it wants to do is cast molten metal, and that's the energy that it wants. And I always try to, whenever I'm working on the furnace, I'm trying to, when I'm ramming the bottom and I'm getting everything prepped and ready for it and lighting the furnace, I always want to be there as a part of that, because I feel like I carry some of that energy of the furnace with me wherever I go. And that I'm trying to give that energy back into the furnace when I'm lighting the furnace. But then at the very end of the furnace, I'm holding space for that energy to come back to me. So when we take the furnace and we drop the bottom on the furnace, and release all that energy back out, and it goes back to the earth for the most part. Some of that energy I'm taking back with me to take to the next furnace. It's kind of that. Kind of like the mother in kombucha or whatever, I'm holding on to this stuff that I can actually take on to the next furnace, or friendship bread, or whatever you want to call it. It's like this same kind of mentality. But my friends kind of laugh at me and they think it's funny, but that's just how I see it. Iron casting means to me, oh man, it's an evolution, I guess, for me. It's just like being able to take something from nothingness and create something that then you have to, like, I don't know, just like making it into this newfound piece. I don't know, it's just like you're creating something, you're birthing something every time you're doing the metal casting. The same thing with the furnace too. I mean, you're building this furnace that you're gonna feed it, and you're kind of like, it's a child almost, and you're hoping it grows up to be something great. And with this, you're hoping that it's going to give you lots of metal that then can give you lots of offspring of lovely castings. It's this incredible, I don't know, it's a life cycle. It's just each one of these castings, and every time we do an iron pour, it's just this beautiful small little cosmos or whatever of life, or a little, I don't know, trying to think of other ways of describing it. It's tough for me, because it's such a big part of my world and my life right now, and what I do, and the family, and it's the camaraderie. It's that same thing. It's that family, that large group family that I have access to now. That's just that have been brought into my life because of iron. None of these people I would have known without iron. And there's just some of my best friends are because of that. Lots of them. It's amazing how many people. But I'm trying to think of iron. I don't know. It's for me, it's life, and that's kind of the best way for me. It's my life, my lifestyle, I guess, and how I live it is very much iron.
I think I have like a personal goal as a filmmaker to recognize my relationship in what's happening. There's also an element where I love watching things happen where I don't necessarily know if they can see that I'm watching them or they can know that I'm watching them, and there's that power relationship again where I have this kind of separation. So with Empty Baskets, I drove past and I recognized my friend sitting in there, and I just started recording them, just kind of like, oh, this is kind of fun. They don't know I'm watching. Ooh, I'll show this to them later. As it started to develop and eventually I got inside and realized that they were okay with it, then realized that I was constructing that story the whole time. I just thought I was responding to the story. And so now they know that the camera is watching. So how is that going to change? And that just became so fascinating to me.
One day, it was Pride weekend, and it was right after the Pride parade. And he called me. He said, I just got done with Pride. I'm in drag, and I have a bird on my shoulder. What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I had just gotten home. I think I just went grocery shopping or something." Very domestic. And so he comes over, and lo and behold, as you see him in the film, is exactly how he looked when he got out of his car. And he said, "Do you want to do something with this?" And so I picked up the camera, and I just said, "Okay, we'll sit in this chair, and you can just start moving." And he just started, before I even had the camera on, he was starting to act weird, doing things with his hands. It's almost as if like a method actor, how they try to like work themselves up. This was really an exercise in fun. It was Patrick and I having fun. There was one of those things where there was no underlining theme. There was no message we were trying to give out. It was us having fun, that we have this moment that he is in makeup and he has a bird and I have a camera. you know
I'm only 3.5 years old. I'm only 3.5 years old. He told me to wait right here. I'm not going anywhere until he comes back. He told me to wait right here. I'm gonna wait right here until he comes back. He told me to wait right here. I'm not going anywhere until he comes back. He told me to wait right here. I'm gonna wait right here until he comes back. Just wait right here. And I'm waiting right here. Waiting right here until he comes back. Until he comes back. Until he comes back. I'm not going anywhere until he comes back. Because I got told to wait right here. So wait right here until he comes back.
Outed is a story about two high school seniors who desperately love each other, but because of life circumstances, struggle to be together. It's a web series. Each episode is about 7 to 11 minutes long. I wrote and created the series, and then I also decided to act in the show as well. Mainly just because I was very connected with the storyline, and it was something that was inspired by a situation I went through. So I decided to write about it.
Max,
What's the matter?
everyone's staring.
What? No, they're not.
Nina,
It's fine, I'm sure it's nothing.
What happened last night?
what are you talking about?
What's going on?
I was hoping you guys could tell me.
Okay, can you please just tell us what's going on?
This is pretty much my first foray into film. I've done a lot of theater, done a lot of acting and writing. As far as film, I knew if I really wanted an experience that there was no better place than to do it in Iowa. My goal was to surround myself with pretty remarkable talent and people who knew what they were doing.
First, as a producer, I set out to develop the shooting schedule that would maximize our locations and also allow us to shoot in a short period of time without killing ourselves. We actually ended up shooting 4 episodes, basically over a week. So we were shooting very fast. Now, at one point, we shot 3 different setups on different sides of town in one day, starting in the morning, moving in the afternoon to a different location, and then finishing on the totally other side of town for our last location of the night. It's not something I recommend, but sometimes it becomes a necessity when you're shooting independent film.
They knew that we'd have to be here at 1 and then all the way across town at 1:30 with the exact same crew, with all the equipment ready to go. It's very rare that on sets where you're working very long hours with very little time that you'll have fun at every turn, and we did have fun at every turn.
I didn't really know what to expect the first day, and I was so excited. I walked on and saw all these people, getting organized and getting everything put together for the actors to come in, and it's like, oh my goodness, this is my baby. Like, things are gonna be seen, and it was a very, very surreal and humbling experience.
Hey, are you okay? Need help? Whoa, easy, easy, easy. How's your head?
Fine, I think. Thanks.
No sweat. Did you want some ice for that?
I'll be good.
Name's Connor.
Max.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, same.
When you get to know characters like Max, he's first introduced after having weathered so many storms. He's kind of developed this sense of self that's unflinching, and he's not compromising of anything. When you first get to know Tyler, he's very weak in that respect. He has a very poisonous idea of how much people's opinions of him matter and how much his status matters. So to watch him take back his identity and find a way eventually to stand up and say, like, this is who I am, and this is who I've decided to be, like, that's huge, I think.
We help ourselves through fictional stories that relate to our personal endeavors. And I believe that there's going to be someone who's going to be able to make that connection to say, this is how he dealt with it, and maybe deal with their personal circumstance in a better manner. I believe that the openness of Outed is going to be able to help some people out.
The writing process was certainly cathartic. It gave me the opportunity to say a lot of things that I didn't initially have the opportunity to say. Then also spin it so it could be crafted out of love, to be a source of inspiration rather than fear.
Do you honestly think I took that photo?
Didn't you?
No, absolutely not. Why would I?
You and I both know how badly you want to be out of the closet. Here's your chance. Do you still want to be out?
I wouldn't do that to you. I couldn't.
I want the series to inspire people to be who they are unapologetically, themselves, and really just love themselves before they start loving other people, because that's the first step.
We've been working mostly in feature-length form for the last 10 years, so it's always fun to just get out there and do something very immediate. And so this short film was a chance to do that, to just get out there, to find a story and to bring it home, edit it, and do it all in a much more compact frame.
We wanted to come in and do an observational documentary about the National Cornhusking Championships and see the people that participated in this type of event, and kind of, we wanted to get a lot of beautiful cinematography and shots of the events. But yeah, that changed quickly when we met Leroy. These type of guys, these guys from the Depression era, they don't come around that much these days. So it was interesting for us to see that and make sure that we captured that and shed a light on his, at least a little piece of his generation.
coming?
It's going to be winter. I grew up in that late 30s in World War II, and everything was picked by hand. So I've done it for a long, long time. 18 and 6 is 24. So they got 50 bushel on there. Just look how much work they done. You don't do all the work anymore. Chemicals. Chemicals made big farmers.
Yeah.
See? There's no small farmer that can afford to buy a $500,000-$600,000 combine and these tractors. You just can't afford that. So.
That's your dad.
That's my dad.
Yeah?
And I was just telling them they draw 125,000 people in a day. So.
1938, 85,000.
Lord God, Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together today for this event that takes us back in time many years. Thank you for our agricultural heritage in this country, especially parents, grandparents, who made their living off the good land that you created. Thank you for the grain fields all around us, signs of your gracious providence. In your name, then, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen.
This each field here, we will picket. Anything that's left on the stalk will be stripped off the stalk.
We're going to run them out in groups of 5. As soon as they get just about done, that brush cutter's coming through, and then we'll start the next 5.
Heat 1, 75 and older. Heat 1.
We will need the Golden Agers men to draw for your land.
I grew up poor in the late 30s and 40s, and I knew how to work.
So did I.
There was no money around.
What year was you born then?
30.
29.
Okay. And I picked corn then. My dad was sick. In 43, he had cancer, and then he died of his kids. We'd pick a load of corn after school at night. And, no, I know how to work.
Okay, ready? Here we go.
I've won 3 years in a row. All right, national drum.
First place?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Tough husking.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Stuff is green.
Yep. Yep.
Damn.
I had muscle then. God damn it, I haven't got any muscle anymore.
Is that it? That's it. Whew.
Good job.
It is. He picked 121 gross pounds. Gross pounds before deductions.
Oh.
The gleanings.
What's that mean?
That's the corn that you missed in your row. Oh. Or corn that you threw to the wagon and missed and didn't pick up.
I didn't know I missed any.
Well, I didn't know you did. I'm just saying if they do.
I bet I did then.
that is a deduction.
They'd throw the ear of corn in the cow tank, and if it floated, then it was time to pick it. And this is probably wetter than that.
Well, if anybody beat me, they're really good, Nancy. Oh yeah, but you know, I felt good. So I could have went no more.
I'll be 90 in December. I don't want to give up yet, but I think this is the last year, I think.
Yeah. We'll see how I feel.
My wind is gone.
Oh.
I tell you, after that heart attack, they just...
No, mine is pretty good. I feel pretty good. Have you got seniors men on it?
No, they haven't picked yet. Just Golden Agers.
No, yeah, but are they on it?
Golden Agers.
Will you look, see what I got?
She won.
How about if somebody just reads them off?
I want to be sure
Yeah.
before I tell her. You won.
Really? You're not kidding me?
No. You won, man.
Yeah. Good job, Dad.
I won.
Tell her.
You took it again.
Mom won.
Yeah.
I expected that. They just right. Good hospital.
That's the advantage when you're raised poor and you know how to work.
Oh.
Golden Agers, 75 and older. First place goes to Leroy Pan from Iowa.
Last call for any youth if you'll come in out this end.
The focus of the whole project is the refugee crisis, and we aim to keep a conversation going about the refugee crisis no matter what is happening in the media and in the press. So we wanted to artistically bear witness to the refugee crisis. We began at the beginning with an adaptation of Euripides' anti-war play, Iphigenia at Aulis, and we adapted it for contemporary times. We took a trip to Greece to adapt Iphigenia at Aulis, and we knew that we would be in the middle of the refugee crisis while this happened. We took an artistic leap of faith because we didn't know how it would play out. We didn't know where we would land. We didn't know what people we would meet. But as we arrived in Greece, the refugee crisis escalated. People were coming to the islands from Africa, from the Middle East, from Syria. And so in that way, we decided all to bear witness with the art forms we have.
سوريا ترحب بكم في اليونان.
ارجعوا له ارجعوا له. الحمد لله على السلامة. الحمد لله على السلامة. الحمد لله على السلامة يا شباب. الله يسلمك يا رب. الحمد لله على السلامة.
شو له؟ هات 50 يورو يا اب شبال، لو لعبوا صورة عندك يا اب شبال، هي الملامة وهي اليونان وهي اليونان.
عدينا الخطر والحمد لله وصرت على المكان. هيك الاولاد واقفين شغله نص ساعه 10 دقائق مشان نرتاح شوي. بدك شي حبيبي ابعث لي رساله هيك يعني كلام تدريس يعني ما بعرف اذا بدك شي الو الو الو
لا لا مو هنا مو هنا مين يا شباب يا شباب وين يا اخوان عدل 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 Turn that off. Please, please, please. Engine, no, turn the engine off. Please, please, please. تعالوا تعالوا طلعوا برا
يا ربي يا ربي تعال بص على البحر ابدا
I'm Kathy Buxton.
And I'm Stephen Jennings.
And we own an animation studio in southeastern Iowa called Grassware Studios.
And you're about ready to watch The Sacrifice, which is an animated short we did back in 2010. And it started off as a title sequence for a feature that was done here in the state. And the director, Bruce Elgin, gave us permission to add an ending onto it to then make it its own standalone short.
The original story is called The Offering. And the Elgins actually came to us with the idea that they wanted to do something based off of St. George and the Dragon.
And so we were saying, okay, well, let's really rethink about how this piece ends and be a little bit playful with it and send a little bit more interesting of a message.
And a more modern message, a more powerful message to a certain piece of our audience, and that is women, you know, that you can save yourself.
Funding for the Film Lounge has been provided by Produce Iowa, State Office of Media Production, building a statewide network of support for the film community in Iowa. More information on how you can connect is available at produceiowa.com. And the Iowa Arts Council, empowering Iowa to build and sustain culturally vibrant communities by cultivating creativity, learning, and participation in the arts. Learn more at iowaculture.gov.